Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. I'm Greg, one of the technical trainers at Decisions. Hope you're having a good day today. If you have any questions, go ahead and submit them, excuse me, in the chat, and I will do my best to answer it. We'll begin in just a minute. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. There are no questions for now, at least, and so I'm gonna give you guys a treat today, a little treat, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about process mining. Now, again, if you do have any questions, just go ahead and drop them in the chat. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you something that I've been working on. So we have a tool, a platform that we use in Decisions called process mining. Excuse me. And I've been working on building a course recently to train people how to use process mining. So I'm going to show you a couple of those things in just a minute. Here. So the cool thing about process mining is it is synced with Decisions. And when you have certain types of projects and Decisions, you have the ability to automatically move the data from your Decisions projects into process mining. And the simple the summary of what process mining is and what it does is it is a platform that analyzes data and visualizes data in a particular process so that users can have lots of different metrics and visuals, graphs, charts, data in different ways. So it really helps in performance and making changes. It really aids people in their analytical processes. So this is what process mining looks like. I'll go ahead and show you quickly how it's set in Decisions. I am gonna show you. So I have a designer project folder down here, process mining project, and I have some some different flows and designer elements in this process mining project designer folder. Now, the thing about process mining is you can transfer data from any type of data structure, but sort of the coolest ways to utilize the tool are to use two data structures and Decisions: flow execution extension data structures and case entity data structures. When you use those data structures, then it will automatically sync into the process mining platform. If you're using other types of data structures, you can import manually basically how process mining the platform interprets or reads the data is through different event logs. So if you have event logs from whatever other type of data structure you're using in your project, you can basically import those manually and line up the different properties that correspond with the types of properties that the platform needs. And when you align them, I can show you how to do that, then you can transfer the data in and still, analyze and do everything that you would in the platform. One thing that you do to set all of this up is, let's show you a data structure here. So this is a data structure called patient information. And where is, let's see, oh wait, I need to show you a different one. Let's Travel Splash. Travel Splash uses the flow execution extension data structure. And you can see here in the settings, see this box, enable process mining. When you select this, then it will automatically sync into the platform, as long as you do one other thing. I'll show you here. Settings, I believe. Process mining settings. Here you need to make sure that you have the process mining URL in your decisions settings and that you have the proper groups that are allowed to use the platform. So once you set those things up in decisions, then you'll be able to utilize the platform. I'm going to go back and show you a little bit more about what this does. Again, I'm not going to spend very long talking about this. There's a lot of stuff. To say that this is a robust tool is the understatement of the year. There are a lot of things you can do in here, but I'm going to show you a few things. So this is that data structure that I showed you a minute ago, patient info report. And this is actually, it was not one of those two data structures that automatically sync in here. This used I believe it was a simple database structure, and I imported it manually this way. But still, because I aligned the different properties with the fields that process mining needs, then I was able to do the same things with it. So let's take a look at this. So basically, when I reference importing something, once again, that was me importing an event log. And the event log needs to have 3 different properties. It needs to have case ID, it needs to have an activity, and it needs to have a time property. When it has at least those 3 properties, then you can import them and you can manually align them with the platform, and you'll be able to analyze some really cool things. So this is the main view here, sort of like your home screen, if you will. If you see down here, you have 2 default options, and I added this other option. Your analyzer, let's see, will show you based on a lot of different settings here, but it will show you right now the different activities that are in your process. So you can see with this patient info report that every case starts with the pre-op activity, then it moves through different activities. And you can see how these lines indicate what we call handovers. So handovers from one activity to the next. And it gives you a lot of good data as you go through the process. It gives you, right now, it's showing you how many cases and the duration, which are chosen up here. You've got case frequency, and you can select percentage and different options here. You could So this blue represents these things. Case frequency, could change it to duration if I want, capacity, and this diamond down here shows you these settings, total duration, but I could change it if I want. So that's the different data that it's currently showing you. And with these sliders, you can decrease the number of activities. And this project doesn't show you very well what happens, because all of these activities we designed to be to show up visually, no matter what the slider is showing. So basically what would usually happen in different projects is it would only show you a few activities as you decrease the percentage here. For this project, we had every case run through all of these activities. So that's why it's not actually decreasing here. And then this slider changes the percentage of handovers. So you would not see as many handovers in this analyzer if you decrease this slider. Let me show you the dashboard here. So this is really cool. This gives you an overview of a lot of different general data, duration data, and frequency data on the overview screen. And then it has all of these tabs here to visualize the data in a lot of different ways. And obviously you can change a lot of settings to view this in different ways. Up here, you have a lot of different actions. You can filter in a lot of different ways. Could add plenty of filters here. And this just selects, let me go back to the analyzer. This is the main way to change these from activity to resource to role. So this shows the resource. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So these are the actual providers in our process. And then the role would visualize different roles in the process. So you can see that there. Variant Explorer does some really cool stuff. This discovers different variations of the process. And so when people want to see not just what is happening, but variations of the process, they can discover them here and inspect. So this is another really cool additional tool. It's kind of slow right now, so anyway, that's probably enough time. I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I did want to show you the power of this tool. Again, it's process mining. It is a part of decisions. We currently do have a course in our learning management system on process mining, but what I've been working on is creating a new course, and that'll be ready in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if you really want to dig into this now, then let your customer success rep know, or you can let us know on the training team, and we're happy to enroll you in this course currently. If you would like to wait 2 or 3 weeks to enroll in this course, the new, very robust and awesome course on process mining, then just let us know that too. But I hope you've enjoyed that overview of what process mining is. And does anybody have any questions about it? Okay, I do see some here. Let's see. How can I install the process mining? Okay. So the way to install this, there are actually several steps involved. Let me show you the installer. Yeah, I have it here. So your decision server installer. Where did it go? Here we go. So when you go here to your local installer, you can It's done this way. I'm just trying to remember. I don't want to do that, I don't think. Oh. That's settings. I don't think it's editing the settings. So I do think it is updating. Let's see. Now. Well, I'll tell you this, it is done with the installer. It is an option. Let's see, I'm just trying to show you. Let me still be here. I don't want to do too much. It is done through the installer, and we're happy to help you individually with this and show you more. But basically, you can select process mining through the decisions server installer, and it will install on your local as a part of your local. And as I showed you at the beginning of the Lunch and Learn, there are some settings that you'll need to account for in your server in decisions. So that is the how you do it. And again, I'm sorry, I can't show you this. I'm trying to remember exactly how to do it, but it is done through the installer. And can you use it with containerized installation? That's a good question. I want to say no, but I would need to find that out. So if you want to, again, ask your customer support person to look into that or let us know in training, we can find that out for you if you can use it with containerized installations. I want to say no, because I think that you would need to, like I showed you just now, install it through the server installer, and it installs like that said. I know that's kind of repeating what I'm saying. It installs with your local server. But again, I would want to double check on that for you. Okay, any other questions about process mining? All right, Brett has submitted a question. I'm gonna answer that for Brent. Brent, I'm gonna let you talk and expand on it in a minute, but I'll go ahead and read. I have a user action implemented in my project. In my flow, I need to fetch only the data the user right clicks. Would you be able to show an example of this? I think I understand what you mean, Brent. Yes, exit that. Brent, I'm gonna unmute you. Give me just a second here. Okay, Brent, you are allowed to talk if you want to say anything. Say anything else about that.
Okay, so right now when I right click the let's say if there's data there, I right click it, all of it gets processed. So I just want so when I right click it, it shows the right one, but with all this the options there to select from the data, all those options just go away because they're all set to null. So I just have it set up to where there's a selective update in the flow. So when it runs, I do the get all fetch. All of it goes to a false value. So then the data doesn't correspond correctly.
Okay, let me back up just for a minute so I understand better.
Okay.
So tell me more about, so what, first of all, what designer element are you in? Are you in a flow and you're saying you're right clicking on something? Tell me more about that, the beginning part of this.
All right. So right now it's a where's it at? So right now it's a dashboard. So in
Okay,
that
so
dashboard, there's a report. So in the report, the user can well the securities reviewer can right click that the data they want to approve or deny.
okay.
So right now in the flow, those things that are under review are set to a null value.
Okay.
Um, and then I just have it to, for some reason decisions, the form can't be run if there's a null value, so I have to update it to a false value. So if there's multiple things that are under review, and I just need them to click if they just need to click one, all of them go to a false value, not just the one.
Okay, so you've got a dashboard you've set up in your, I guess you have a configuration folder with user actions, right-clickable user actions. And inside the dash, when a user goes through the dashboard, they right-click on it. And at that point, what's happening?
So they right click it, they have the option to run that user action
Okay.
to bring that form up.
Mhm. Okay, so it goes to a form and you're saying it's
It-
all, tell me more about the null values.
okay. Variable. So at the beginning, this is a scheduled job. So right from the start,
Oh, okay.
all the initial data, everything that's submitted to be reviewed is set
Mhm.
to null. If
Okay.
there's so the users have so things just need to get approved or denied.
Right.
So when a user submits, so it's for stocks. So when the user wants their stock to be approved or denied, they submit a request, and then
Okay.
an email gets sent out to all users if they have any what's the any data, any information that any insider information.
Hmm.
So if they have insider information, then that data is still set to null. And those that don't have responses get auto approved and are set to true. So it's a little bit funky on how it's set up, but it
Yeah.
works. It
Okay.
works. So it's just when the configuration um, flow runs, um it uh I have a get all fetch. So it
Hmm.
gets all the null responses, all
Hmm.
the every all the null data, and then it switches it to a uh false selection. I just don't need that to happen. I need them to stay null. Because if they switch to false, then the report's jacked up and they're all go everything goes away.
Right.
So now
Okay.
it acts like it's a deny the request has been denied.
Okay. I'm thinking through this. My instinct, because there
I
are a
just need
lot of moving pieces, is
yeah
not to attempt to replicate your build right now
yeah
because I feel like it would take, a
E-
solid 30 to 40 minutes just to
yeah
get where you are.
I just need to know how to select um using just the decisions ID. Is there a way to just fetch that ID or just one particular item within that report? Just get all that data into one one form.
Okay. Let's play around uh, with fetching what you need to fetch. I think that's where we can at least target and maybe help you a little bit right here. Let me build something out real fast. Let's do that. So tell me more about you say that you want to fetch by ID. Tell me more about what you're trying to get exactly.
I'm just trying to get a specific the specific data they right click on because
Okay.
each request is different.
Mhm.
So each request has a different ticker. I just need to be able to, if they click on that one piece of data, that's the only thing that gets pushed through this flow, not every single um piece of data that's in that report.
Right. Okay. Are you using fetch criteria when you're trying to fetch the different data pieces?
Yes.
Okay. What are you using for that?
Trade approved is null.
Say that
Fetching
again.
so right now yeah, it's is null.
Is null. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so right now the query match type is I only have equals, is not null, is null. It's Boolean as well. So
Okay. So the field name you said was what?
my field name is just trade approved. And it's a Boolean value.
Oh, okay. Let me see what else. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's your issue. Your issue is in your user action flow too. So you're wondering why the data changes, why it's
I
only
mean
showing the null. I mean, tell me
I
again
mean
that part.
so I understand what's happening. It's fetching
Mhm.
all the null um it's fetching all the null um results.
Mhm.
It's fetching everything that's in that data structure.
Right.
So I just needed to fetch the
The
one
the
they
not
right click
null,
on. No, just the one they right click on.
just
That's
the
all.
one they right click on. Okay.
Yeah. Because
Hmm.
every everything in that report has to be reviewed. So if I just right click on one, they all go away because they all get um, selective updated to be false.
Right.
What
So
are hey, what are you using for your input for the folder ID? Are you ignoring that on the fetch entities? Hey Greg, can you go back to that fetch entities?
Yeah.
And the user action flow has access to the ID to use in the fetch entity. And a user action, the flow has access to the ID, right? That's what I was thinking. You should be able to map that in. So if you go back to that flow, Brent flow fetch,
Yeah.
just put a fetch entity sound again. Is this just a random flow, Greg, or is this in a user action?
No, that's what I was just about to do. I was about to go
Oh, okay, okay,
look at the
okay.
user actions,
Yeah.
but um,
Yeah,
is this what you're
Jeremy's
thinking?
Jeremy's putting what I was thinking in the chat. Like in the user action, like whenever we've done user actions previously, you can utilize that when like by it being in that folder with the user action references the folder ID. So if you just go, yeah, sure, and then add a user action, and you could look at any of those other user actions to kind of see. Go ahead, yeah.
I'm looking at some of these specific options, Brent. If there are any other steps that are already defined that you could use that make more sense. I'm guessing, Brent, you've already gone this far and looked through these.
I have not actually.
I'm
Okay.
putting I'm gonna put Jeremy's putting some great info in the chat, but it's only on our side. I'm just gonna copy and
Mhm.
paste it over for you, Brent.
Okay.
And Jeremy, if you want to speak up, you're more than welcome to. But that's my understanding of it as well, is that when you have it as a user action, it's gonna by default kind of assume whatever entity you click on to do that action is
Mhm.
what you're gonna apply it to. You might need to fetch if you're applying it to like a document, like if on some of these examples in that structure that you're looking at, Greg, we like fetch or get by file reference or something. But it depends on, but it really depends on what the action is trying to do. But if you have it in that structure as a user action, you shouldn't have to populate.
I shouldn't have to use a fetch at all.
Right. Yeah, it should be able to run just that. And Jeremy, you can feel free to approve. Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll know what by right clicking on an entry or a record, it'll know that that's the record you're trying to apply to, or it should. So you should be able to just, if you're doing selective update, you should be able to whatever steps you're using to populate the data that's going to go into that selective update, and then a selective
Mhm.
update. Yeah, you can speak, Jeremy. I think you should be unmuted. Maybe Greg has to unmute you.
Let me check.
I'm not the host right now.
Okay, Jeremy, you're good now.
Yeah, if you could go under the data explorer there on the left side, the entity and extension data are already there. So that all that data that you would fetch with a fetch entity is already available to you in a user action. So you don't need to do any fetching if you're just doing something to that data. You just need to process it
Okay.
in the user action flow. It already knows what entity item you're doing this to.
Okay.
That's right. We do a similar thing in training on Sprint 4, actually, when we are trying to delete a file reference entity. So yeah, you don't need to fetch anything at this point. You just need the action for whatever you're trying to do right here, Brent. So if it's, show a form or whatever you might need to do, you can just put it in here, and it's by its nature, it's a right clickable action, user action.
Okay. That makes sense.
Show them one of those delete ones, Greg. Like if you go close out of this and then show them like delete, yeah.
So
and then
like
if it is like something like it only needs to happen once, then you need to have there could be a user visibility rule, an action visibility rule set on that action to only show if that field you're talking about is null or false. That way you only
So
see,
down
like
here.
if it's like I need to approve this, you only see that action if it's unapproved.
Okay. This all makes sense now.
And then then it would be, and if somebody's processed it, then it wouldn't show that action anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, and a common misstep, and I do it all the time too with these action visibility rules, is you got to think kind of in an inverse because you're filtering out the abilities. If you see at the top, it says return true to filter out. So you're creating a rule to remove it from most users. So if you do decide to use an action visibility rule, just be aware, a lot of people miss that you're actually setting the rule where true is to not show it, which is the opposite of what my brain.
I generally have to play with it to make sure it does what I expect it to do, because I can never think backwards enough to make it
work
the first time.
Yeah, and then on this one he's showing, I was talking to someone about this earlier. It's like you're filtering out, so you're doing an inverse. So then you put a not, and then you're doing the inverse of an inverse, and then you're like you almost got to like get a Rubik's cube or something and write on it to flip the rules around to get it to work right. But yeah, that's just be aware with his action visibilities. It is inverted from what most people might assume.
So definitely those two major things there, a visibility rule and just a user action for what you want to do. But the visibility rule will make this action visible or invisible.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you guys' help.
Yeah. Okay, Alex wrote, wondering if there is some sample code demonstrating the LDAP query raw step. Thanks. Okay. Alex, I have to be honest, I don't know anything about that step. Here, let me let you speak, and you can tell me where you've already tried to get some intel on that step, if anywhere yet.
Yeah, hi there. I just staggered across this step, and the first thing, one of the parameters that's required is something called like 80 settings, something or other. But it says it's supposed to be internal features and internal services, Active Directory services, but I can't find it there. I can't find it in the step. The actual step library doesn't seem to have any documentation on this. So
Okay,
I'm kind
that's
of
where I was gonna look.
I'm looking on our side, Greg, and our Slack and all that.
Okay. Hmm.
because
Alex,
I mean,
can you repeat one more time for me what it is that you're trying to learn about the step?
Okay, well, so I want to be able to query our Active Directory for attributes related to the logged on user in our Active Directory. So I looked through all the steps that seem to be available, through Active Directory out of the box, and I don't really see anything that allows me to do that except for this step called LDAPQueryRaw, which seems to have 3 input parameters. The first one is the connection settings, which the documentation says that I should be able to use a step to get that, but then the step that it tells me that I can use doesn't seem to exist. And then after that, I'm not sure how to use the actual LDAP query properties and the properties to load. So I was just wondering if there was like a quick bit of sample code, that would basically show me how to recover an attribute from, Active Directory. I mean, I do have a connection defined in the settings to, our Active Directory, and I'm able to use other steps, but, I want to be able to, kind of dig into this thing and get basically any attribute that is configured.
Hmm. So where did you said that you saw some documentation on this step, actually, the LDAP step?
I don't remember how I got to this thing. What is decisions? Decisions about steps. Active. I can't remember where I got that. Somewhere in the documentation, it made a reference to a step called Get Active Directory My Tickets. I've actually opened a ticket on it, so okay.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of research on our side, and you're trying to figure out like just some queries to run through just to test it. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like ultimately, I actually want to be able to get specific values from the entry in Active Directory. Yeah, so there's supposed to be a step called Get Active Directory Settings, and I can't find that.
Are you on version 8 or version 9?
I'm 819.
819. And have you installed the Active Directory module?
Well, I believe so because I use the
Okay.
test login function,
Yeah.
so I mean, so how do how do I actually see if I've got it installed?
If you're on version 8,
Yep.
the quickest way to do it would be to go, let me pull it up on mine, just to make sure I'm speaking correctly. I believe you have an option on the left for like My Apps in version 8. Do you see like a My Apps kind of option?
I do.
And then once you click on that, like what would be kind of a designer project folder, even though it's not, on the top right, you'll see a button that says App Store.
Top right. App Store. Click.
Yep. And
Okay.
then under modules,
Modules
yep,
in Active Directory is installed.
it is installed. Okay.
Yep.
Good. And what's the name of the step you're looking for? I'll find it for you.
It's okay. So it's Active Directory. Get Active Directory settings.
Okay.
Which is supposed to return one of the parameters that's required for that LDAP step, which is the connection settings.
Alex, is this the step?
Yep.
LDAP query row. Okay.
Yeah, so
So
like there should be a step called Get Active Directory Settings, which returns an 80-step settings type, which I should be able to run to pass into the LDAPQueryRaw step to basically provide my connection string, if I understand correctly.
Said it was, the step name was Get Active Settings.
Get Active Directory Settings.
Oh,
It's not in
yeah,
any,
not searchable.
no, and it's
Yeah.
not doing
It's
anything in documentation either.
yeah, that step is pre 8.5. I'm looking on our like deeper side. That step is pre 8.5. After 8.5, the new name structure for it is get portable server registrations. So I'm trying to find that for you.
Okay.
And on 8.5, they swapped it over from get Active Directory
Yeah,
settings to get portable server
it's
registrations.
and it's not in the module. So there's two places where our Active Directory stuff can be found. So there's the out of the box Active Directory stuff that is just kind of like in general, like anyone that has access to decisions can access it. And then there's the module specific stuff. So it's actually not in the modules what we're looking for. What we're looking for is in the it's in internal services. So Greg, if you want to go to integration internal services. So in internal services, Active Directory services, there's a list of these are the ones that come out of the box. So you don't have to have the module to use these. And there's your step, get portable server registrations. It's right there.
Right in the middle there. Yep.
Yeah, so to access that, you have to go to integration internal services, Active Directory service.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, my problem is that was looking for a different step.
Yeah. And probably our documentation wasn't clear enough. Like I said, I searched on our internal side to find that. I wouldn't have known otherwise. I've never even heard of these steps, to be quite frank.
Okay. Okay,
But
so now you should be able to, in the LDAP query raw, you should be able to get the connection string as a select from flow kind of thing, right?
Yep. Yeah, it should.
Get portable server registrations.
Although you might have to do some parsing there. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to manipulate that somehow. Maybe build that on it. Server. So yeah, you would have to probably play with these to map in what you need exactly.
Okay.
And for those queries themselves, like I Googled it. There's like a plenty of resources online, and I looked on our internal side, and the queries match. So the acronym LDAP queries that you find when you use Google, like LDAP query raw, and there's like examples, like
Okay.
they should work for you.
And the properties to load thing, is that like, I mean, so that I'm kind of confused about that. Usually the LDP query specifies what you want to see, no?
Hmm.
So I'm not sure what properties to load is all about.
Greg, build data on that.
Hmm. Build an array.
No,
It's
okay.
it's just a list. It's a list of
Mhm.
properties. I'm not familiar enough with it though to know to kind of help in that though. It's just a
Yeah.
list of strings. I don't know exactly what would go in there though.
I
So is
mean,
that like possibly something like a list of strings that are part of the attribute editor, or?
I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely the next question here, what this is used for.
Because I'm not like, I mean, I'm not finding anything like in the advanced search on this kind of thing is, and there's no context sensitive help.
Yeah, I think this is, did you say you already have an active ticket on this?
I do. So, I mean, now that you've directed me to the get portable service registration thing, I'm a third of the way through. So I'll,
Yeah.
update the ticket with that, and see if I can get some help on the actual properties.
Yeah, because that's definitely the next, yeah, I would update your ticket with this information, and the next missing piece to the puzzle is especially what this properties to load input is
Yeah.
and what it's used for.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I think that is it for today. Thanks, everybody. And if you would like to join us tomorrow for Lunch and Learn, keep in mind that tomorrow, Wednesday, the 3rd, is our last working day. We'll be taking off Thursday and Friday for July 4th holidays. But you can tune in tomorrow for Lunch and Learn with Jeremy. He's going to be doing it tomorrow. And hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Hey, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.